So we did a couple factoring ones because you'll have one factoring one on your quiz. Okay, so when we have four terms and we want to factor, what do we call that method? Grouping. Good. So we have to group. And usually when we group, we'll group the first two and back two, a little minus or plus between them if it's got a minus in front of that third term, like this one does. Okay? So once we group it, what's the GCF of the first group? X squared. What's the GCF of the second group? Negative 9. When that third term is negative or minus in front, we pull that negative out. Okay? So what's 3x cubed divided by 1x squared? 3x. What's 5x squared divided by 1x squared? 5. What's negative 27x divided by negative 9? 3x. What's negative 45 divided by negative 9? Plus 5, right? So you see the 3x plus 5 in both binomials there. That's what we wanted to happen, right? Now what's our two factors? Right. So we got the 3x plus 5 and the x squared minus 9. And remember, this was equal to 0, right? Okay. What about that red x squared minus 9, though? It's one of those difference of squares, right? So I can finish or factor it down a little further. And when we do a difference of squares, remember, we take the square root of the x squared, or whatever, the first term, and the square root of the second term, the 9, and then we do one addition or one subtraction. Okay? So, what's the degree of this polynomial? 3, right? So how many zeros should I find? 3. Am I going to find 3 now? Yeah, because I got 3 factors, right? And again, most of you can look at the 3 factors now and tell me the 3 answers, but just showing all the work, here's what we're doing. We're setting each factor equal to 0 and then solving for x. So that's what we're doing. Okay, but most of you can tell me, at least for these two, tell me this one's negative 3 and this one's positive 3, right? This one, sometimes we got to do the work just to make sure, but we're going to subtract 5. And then divide by 3. So the other one is negative 5 thirds. Okay? Just factoring, what you guys have done a lot of this year, and you guys are good at it. Get it factored, and then set each factor equal to 0. Any questions on the first one? Okay, the second one, it's only got 3 terms, but it's got x to the 5th. So how many zeros are we thinking? 5 zeros, right? Again, when we're factoring, what's the first thing that we should always look for? A GCF. Does this have a GCF? Yeah, x cubed. I should have said that in the first one too. If it's a grouping problem, you still should look for a GCF. But there wasn't a GCF in that first one we did. So we got x cubed, and then we get x squared minus 2x minus 24. And that's one of those trinomials that's easy because you just have a 1 in front. So there's only one way to get x squared, right? So I'm looking for factors of negative 24 that add up to negative 2. which is -6, and a +4, right? -6 times +4 is -24, and -6 plus 4 is -2, right? So again, I just set each factor equal to 0. Again, most of you do this part in your head. Okay, so this one is -4, and this one's +6. And when it's a cube, to get rid of that cube, what do I do to both sides? Not square root, but cube root, right? What's a cube root of 0? 0, right? Okay. I didn't ask you on this to state the multiplicity, but since this has got an exponent of 3, how many times does 0 work? 3 times. If we looked at the graph of this, what happens at 0, 0? Does it cross, bounce, or bend? It bends, yeah. As it crosses. The odd ones always cross, but if it works 3 times, or 5 times, or 7 times, it's going to bend as it crosses. If it works 1 time, when it crosses, it just goes straight through. So those were factoring ones. You'll have one of those on your quiz, okay? And then the next group, we have 2. We're supposed to identify all the groups, or all the roots, or zeros. I should have put zeros, but it's okay. That means the same thing. And I'll just sketch the graph. I would just put it in your calculator, okay? And the graph looks like this. Comes up. Looks like that. So my zeros are here and here. Now this was an x to the third. So how many zeros am I expecting? 3, right? And I only see 2. But what does bouncing tell me? It works twice, okay? So this one's going to work twice, and it was a 4. That's 4, 0. So there's the multiplicity, and this one was a -2. Again, I just put it in the calculator and looked at the graph. And that's all you have to do.
Is there gonna be like one test where it looks like it bends, but
I don't know. Good. That was kind of tricky. Number 4. Okay. So when we look at the graph here, it came down, went through, and you could barely tell that it went down through. And it kind of did this. Okay. So there's a 0 here. There's one there. And there's one here. But over here was on the older calculators, it looked like it was bending as it was going through. You could barely see that it went under. You have one of the newer ones where you get the blue lines or the red lines, graphs, you can kind of tell better. Okay? So if you thought it bent at 0, okay, that's the 0 there. This is 3.8, and this is -0.8. Okay, using the calculator. But if you thought it went bent there, you were thinking 0 works how many times? If it bends at 0, 3, right? That's what you're thinking. So, and that's what it kind of looked like on, like mine. I guess I should put it on. I'll put it on this calculator. This calculator is one of the older ones, so it kind of looks like that. Just to let you know what I'm talking about. So we go to our y equals and put it in there. It was x to the 4th. So we're thinking there's 4 zeros. See, that kind of looks like it's just bending as it went through there, doesn't it? Okay. So we're thinking then 0 works 3 times. So that's what I was doing. I put 0 in, and we got 1 for the x to the 4th, -3 for the x cubed, negative 3 for the x squared. There was no x, and there was no constant. So I had to add 2 zeros on the end when I did synthetic. 0 times 1 is 0. 0 times negative 3 is 0. 0 times negative 3 is 0. And 0 times 0 is 0. So it worked that time, right? Do 0 again. 0 times 1 is 0. And we got a 0 again. And it works. But if I do it a third time, I got 0 again. But did I get a 0 here? No. So that tells you that really wasn't bent and that it actually did go underneath a little bit. Okay? So this doesn't work. So if you're having trouble finding these points in your calculator, what can I do to find the other two? What's this? What type of equation is this? It's a quadratic, right? It started out as x to the fourth. And after I do synthetic division once, it's x cubed. After I do it a second time, it's x squared. So there's the equation. So my a is 1, my b is negative 3, and my c is negative 3. Okay? So we can do the quadratic formula to find this 3.8 and that negative 0.8 if we had to. Okay? And you can write it in radical form. When you do it, here's what the answer is. 3 plus or minus the square root of 21 over 2. So watch. So 3 plus the square root of 21 divided by 2. There's your 3.8. Okay? So it'll work doing it that way too. But you've got the calculator that finds the zeros, right? So just do that way. All right? Anybody having issues finding those fraction ones in your calculator? Got to do left bound, right bound, and then the guess, right? Left bound means be left of it. Okay? So if I was looking for 0.8, this one, left bound would be up here, right bound would be down here. Make sense? Over here, though, left bound's here and right bound's there. Okay? So you have to tell the calculator which 0 to look for. So you got to give it boundaries. It's going to ask you for left bound, right bound, and then when it asks for guess, hit enter and it'll give you those numbers. Okay? All right. 5, 6, and 7. Okay? You were given 3 zeros. So they're giving you the zeros. You have to find the equation. So we're going backwards on these. How do we always start these?
X minus.
Yes, x minus. Sometimes you guys forget that. And it's usually not on the ones that are just numbers. When I go minus the negative 6, what do I end up doing? Adding, right? So make sure you turn that to plus 6. And then just FOIL it out, right? Okay? You guys know how to FOIL from there. All right? So number 6, it's x minus 4. And x minus a negative 1, which is plus 1. And then what do we do with the fractions? Denominator goes where? It's 1/3. Okay? So what do we do with the denominator?
Then you put the 3 in front of the x.
Yes, put it in front of the x. Minus then, like always. And then whatever the numerator is, you put after the minus. That way you don't have any fractions. You guys don't want to get fractions in your polynomials, do you? No, you guys don't like working, right? So just turn it into a 3x minus 1. Okay? And then FOIL it. Here's where you guys mess up. So here's the 4 zeros we have. All right? You did okay here. You remembered x minus square root of 5 and x minus negative the square root of 5, but you know that you're going to make an addition, right? But when you see these, you just put 3 plus 1 and 3 minus 1. You forget to put the x minus. Still put x minus, and then 3 plus I, and x minus 3 minus I. Okay? So make sure you put the x minus in everything. Great. Yeah. Okay? Questions? Let's do this one to finish, just go through it. And then I'll give you your practice quiz you can work on. You have to do those two together. You have to do these two together. When you do these, what gets canceled? The i's. When you do these, what gets canceled? The radicals, yes. Okay? And then once you get those two answers, just multiply everything out. Okay? So, let's do these first. I go x times x times negative 3, and x times negative I. Okay? Just take your time when you do this. All right? And then I'm going to go negative 3 times x, and negative 3 times negative 3, and negative 3 times negative I. And then I'm going to go I times x, and I times negative 3, and I times negative I, which is negative I squared, right? So there's your 9 terms. The x times all 3, the blue ones. The negative 3 times all 3 are the red ones. The I times all 3 are the black ones. All right? Those cancel. Those cancel. What's that equal? Positive 1, right? I squared is negative 1. So it's a negative of a negative 1, right? Which makes it plus 1. Okay? So the blue answer, the blue box, is x squared minus 6x plus 10. No more i's. Okay? Some of you just get through and then towards the end here, like in the black ones here, you forget to do one or something. Remember, it should be 9 of them. After you do that, and then combine your like terms. Okay? For the red ones, you're going to go, FOIL it. First, x squared, outside positive x radical 5, inside is negative x radical 5, and then last is negative the square root of 25. Okay, so what happens to these? They go away, right? You guys know the square root of 25 is what? 5. So this is x squared minus 5. No more radicals. Okay? So then I just multiply those two together to finish it. So we'll go x squared times x squared, which is x to the 4th, and x squared times negative 5 is negative 5x squared. And then I go negative 6x times x squared is negative 6x cubed, and negative 6x times negative 5 is a positive 30x. And then I got a positive 10 times x squared is a positive 10x squared. And a positive 10 times negative 5 is negative 50. All right? So let's put in the right order. X to the 4th is first. X cubed is next. Negative 5 plus 10 is a positive 5. X squared is next. Plus 30x minus 50. Okay, so I didn't do all of them, but I think you guys understand how to do this, right? Any questions? All right, so all all you have tonight, and you probably have enough time to get it done now, is to do the practice quiz, okay? Thanks.